of the Rhiza Foundation. Alef, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Africa at Play.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let's talk about this great initiative. Why is it of paramount significance to worry about the young generation and creating all sorts of great programs for them to belong and be active in sport, but also dealing with their mental strength and helping them to be mentally healthy and not just physically healthy or fit?
So I think for me as personally, sport has a number of benefits, right? So the first is physical. So when children are active, their blood circulation is faster, they develop physically, but they also have to develop specific skills in like I say, team building, especially in sports that we often promote, like soccer or basketball. You have to learn how to work in a team, and this is for both boys and girl childs. The other thing for me is sports bring things like confidence, bring things like discipline, things that are super helpful later in life. And I think that's really what we're trying to achieve with the Cruyff Courts here, is to ensure that young children, not from primary school all the way up to high school, have access to sports facilities that are state of the art, that could fit anywhere in the country and not stand out. And through that access, develop, one, their skills, and two, then their confidence. They're working in a team, they're showing up, their joy in the sport. But at the same time, things like discipline and reworking your skill over and over, even if you fail the first 1,000 times. So all of those things build the resilience, build the ability to work with others, irrespective of where you come from. And that really is what the Cruyff Courts are all about.
And Alef, let's talk about this Cruyff Courts. Are they multi-purpose sport courts?
Yeah, so the main purpose of these courts are soccer courts, but they have one of the best astroturfs in the planet on it, and well tested and well rounded. So one can also do like sprinting and running and things like Pilates or whatever they want to do from a general fitness. So they're not multi-purpose in the sense of that they also have netball or basketball directly built into it, but they're well suited to add like a netball, cork, a basket or anything of such in order to make it more multi-purpose. The primary purpose of these courts are soccer courts.
And what criteria did you use to end up choosing Diepkloof as a township out of so many in Soweto and, of course, other townships across South Africa? There's just plenty of them. Not that it's wrong, but it would be awesome to get to a point one day where these multi-purpose courts can be launched in different townships where we know that, young kids are struggling with the lack of facilities.
So these are not our first courts. So we've done one in Orange Farm before. We have done one in Vredenburg in the Western Cape before. We're, as we speak, launching one in Thembalethu, next to George. We have facilitated ones in Diepkloof as well. So we are far but done. So what we look at is where are there a lot of children that need access to facilities, often linked to a school or to a community center, as to the one in Diepkloof. And then build it for that specific community center or for a school in order to provide that access that I was talking about earlier. So the requirements are really around lack of access and providing additional access to the facilities that they currently might not have. And that's why we, for example, chose Thembalethu as well, because there was no access in that community currently to courts. And there were a lot of sports clubs in that community. So that's another thing we look for, is what is the current activity when it comes to sports. And if there's a high activity, then we know that our courts will be utilized well.
14:40 Central African Time. If you have just joined us, a very warm welcome to Africa at Play. The conversation continues with Alef Meulenberg, who is the founder of the Rhiza Foundation, where we're talking about structured sports, talking about facilities being availed in those underprivileged communities to ensure that these kids are not lost to things like substance abuse, but they can be active and be active in sport through different sporting codes on these Cruyff Courts, which are multi-purpose sporting facilities. Alef, please do stay on the line. We take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with our conversation.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. From football fields to finish lines,
Eliud Kipchoge storms into the history books.
Neto Muyane brings you sports on Africa at Play.
14:42 Central African Time. This is Africa at Play. We are live every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time. We are still in a conversation talking about grassroots development in different sporting codes. And helping us to do so is Alef Meulenberg, who is the founder of the Rhiza Foundation, doing the most out there, making certain that there's Cruyff Courts in different communities in South Africa to help those young people who find themselves in underprivileged communities. And this Wednesday, they've put up 2 Cruyff Courts in Diepkloof, Soweto. And it's not just in Soweto, but different other areas, including Diepkloof. Alef, thank you so much for staying on the line. Let's talk about the legend of football, Edwin van der Sar, former Manchester United and Dutch national goalkeeper, who got to take penalties against the local children on Wednesday. Talk to us about this legend and how important it is to have this kind of legend being an inspiration to upcoming generations.
Yeah, I think for me, I can still remember, this gives away my age a little bit, but when with Ajax he won the Champions League in 1995, I was a small boy back then and watched it on TV. But that kind of gives away like how important it is for the younger generation to be able to interact with people like him. And there were people from the Orlando Pirates, and we've had people from Kaiser Chiefs before joining as well. And the look on the faces of the kids when they play against people who they have admired for the longest of times is priceless. And I think for me, again, it provides that small touch point. And that touch point might only be a minute or 2 minutes in a young person's life for now. But that can provide an inspiration or an aspiration to something bigger. And that's really what we're aiming for, is one, to kind of close that gap between people like those kind of legends and kids on the ground, but also then for that to be aspirational for children to want to achieve something similar, or to say, okay, cool, I've met this person. He's just like me and you. Yes, he's a wonderful goalkeeper, and this case Van der Sar. But maybe I can become like that later on in life as well. And those I think are good aspirations for children to have. So it was really an honor for us to be able to host Edwin and some of the other delegates as well. And I think it means a lot to the children.
Alef, as we wrap up this conversation, as I drive around in different parts of communities, sometimes you get to witness beautiful sporting facilities. Half a decade later, then it's a different story with those facilities not taken good care of. What sort of security measures have you put in place to make certain that these communities can appreciate these facilities? Yeah. Because there's always people who are looking for criminal opportunities.
So we've been around for 15 years as an organization. I started Rhiza in 2009, 2010. And one of our aims has always been to build sustainable things. So meaning, on the one hand, that they can be financially sustainable, which is not always the case with the Cruyff Court, but also that they are maintained really well. So for us, we take a lot of pride in maintenance and ensuring that the facilities are utilized for the right purpose. So we've put in monitoring and evaluation systems in place. We've put security measures in place, but also a maintenance plan for the next 5 to 10 years at least, in order to ensure that the facilities that we build now still look the same in 10 years' time. I'll give you an example of one of our clinics that's also utilized for sports facilities that was built 10 years ago. If you walk into that clinic now, it looks almost identical to 10 years ago. It's only the case because we maintain them well and we keep them clean all the time. So that's the same with the Cruyff Courts and with any sports facilities we build. Is we ensure that they are maintained properly, we ensure that they look well, and that they are always tidy and clean. And that way then we ensure that 10, 15 years down the line, when you hopefully walk by one of those, that you're like, oh yeah, I remember this conversation and I remember this question, and that they are still in a quality, in a state that they're supposed to be at that point in time.
Alef Meulenberg is the founder of Rhiza Foundation, a man together with his team doing the most out there, plowing back to an African child through sport facilities in disadvantaged communities, and also making certain that there are security measures to make certain that these facilities are well looked after and maintained, so that when those kids are elders, the ones that comes after them can also be able to enjoy these facilities. Before I let you go, Alef, what's still coming up under the umbrella of Rhiza Foundation in as far as developing communities through these sport facilities is concerned?
So we're launching another Cruyff Court today in Tembalethu. We have recently, like last year, done a mobile basketball clinic, so a mobile clinic and a truck with a basket that comes out. And we're now doing a mobile soccer clinic, and that will hopefully be launched in the next few months. And the mobile soccer clinic will, again, be a mobile clinic for healthcare purposes, but also with a goal that will come out where kids can practice their soccer skills. So those are just some of the things that we're doing from an innovation point of view with soccer and with sports in general. Next year, there will be 2 more Cruyff Courts that we're building. We have identified some communities in the country that we want to do that in. And in the next number of years, we will continue with building at least 2 of these courts, and a number of mobile facilities that are linked to sports again as well. So we're not done yet, not by a long shot, and hopefully we can continue the journey with you guys as well.
What is the secret of Rhiza Foundation in terms of sustainability? Because all these projects and programs that you are putting on board, they require a financial muscle.
Yeah. So I think the secret is not really a secret, to be honest. It's what we do is not complicated, but it is difficult to implement consistently. So we are community-led driven, so everything we do starts at a community level. But when we say we will do something, we do it. And we try to do it to the best of our abilities. What I often tell our team is like, I don't want you to be the best today, but I want you to do your best every single day. And if you don't do your best, then this might not be the organization for you. But if you do your best, then we can really make a difference together. And so if you do that incrementally every single day, then just let's say 15 years down the line, you can really see a difference. And that has given us a certain reputation in the industry. I think that when you work with us, then whatever we say we will do. And if you do that for long enough, then that builds trust. And trust for me is key when it comes to any type of relationship. So that's how we operate, and that's not really a secret sauce. It's just a level of consistency that we're trying to implement with our partners and with the community, that then builds meaningful relationships and allows us to do meaningful work.
In everything one does in life, nothing beats consistency. We are talking to Alef Meulenberg, who is the founder of Rhiza Foundation, of course, through great partnerships, making certain that underprivileged communities in South Africa get to benefit from multi-purpose sport courts, so that an African child gets an opportunity to play sport and not be lost to substance abuse. Alef, thank you so much for the awesome work that you are doing. Please keep going, because you are a nation builder, and big ups to your team and your partnerships as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. 14:50 Central African Time. That's how we wrap up our conversation with Alef Meulenberg, the founder of Rhiza Foundation, a foundation that looks after disadvantaged communities, building up sport courts, multi-purpose courts for young people out there to benefit from these facilities. And we urge those that are using these facilities to take good care of them, because it was indeed an expensive exercise to put this project together. Let's update you about matches that are taking place in the ongoing Africa FIFA World Cup qualifiers, and this is match day 10. Some matches will be taking place this coming midweek, but today we've got a match in Zambia at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium between Chipolopolo of Zambia and Niger at 3 p.m. Central African Time. 1800 will be Chad versus Central Africa Republic, as well as Burkina Faso at 2100 taking on East Africans Ethiopia. Djibouti also at 2100 will be up against Sierra Leone. Egypt, the Faroes versus Guinea-Bissau. Ghana tackles Comoros, while Mali cross questions Madagascar, also at 2100. And in the Europe FIFA World Cup qualifiers at 3 p.m. Central African Time, San Marino will take on Cyprus, while at 1800 it will be Faroe Islands versus Czech Republic. Netherlands takes on Finland, and Scotland will be up against Belarus, while Croatia versus Gibraltar also at 20:45. And another match at the same time will be Denmark versus Greece. Lithuania takes on Poland at 20:45, and Romania is up against Austria also at the same time at 20:45 Central African Time. We will be talking to our teenager in sport at 3 p.m. Central African Time. That is Zayim Gupman, and of course he will be joining me in studio to talk about his football journey. Mutsarandende, a song by the legend in Oliver Mtukudzi. May his soul rest in peace, but his legacy lives on through his great music.
Gender